Gio, thank you so much for joining us today and taking some time to chat.
Thanks for having me.
So I know you are the VP and Head of Insurance Solutions at Dynacare. So I think to start, maybe you can tell me a little bit about Dynacare's primary focus in really streamlining some of the life underwriting processes today.
Dynacare, particularly in Canada, we have a pretty large footprint in the insurance solution space. So we are essentially the dominant player of medical evidence collection for all the major insurance carriers in the country. And what we do really through three kind of core business model or elements, I should say, is we have our telephone interview business where we support our prospective customers going through the application process. We have what we refer to as our electronic medical records business, our APS business, where we collect attending physician statements. And then we have a paramedical team as well. I have the pleasure of leading this team. I've been with the organization for about just shy of 3 years. So I'm responsible for leading the operations business, but also leading the growth strategy with how we go forward.
Amazing. Thank you for that. So how is Dynacare today approaching innovation to ensure that they're staying competitive in the industry? And maybe you can highlight some of the initiatives that you all are taking to achieve that.
We kind of made this change over the last couple of years around focusing our efforts around not just being kind of a vendor that just provides medical evidence, but taking a bit of a step back and looking at the broader insurance value chain and trying to understand where are those pain points along that value chain where we felt like we can add value to. And in that vein, that would enable us to become more of a strategic partner to our carriers. And so we focused our efforts around looking at not only, of course, improving the efficiency of the actual insurance process, but also keeping in mind the customer experience along that way.
So are there any initiatives that you can highlight that you guys are kind of focused on to achieve some of these goals?
Yeah, so one of the things, and it's interesting, obviously, we've focused our efforts on really kind of building strategic partnerships in kind of the broader space. And so we've really focused on a few things. So one, looking at how we can kind of tackle the application process and looking at partners that can help us to kind of bring that value to insurance carriers and customers alike. And looking at auto underwriting engines as well. And also really finding a way to work with partners that can enable us to gain access to not only traditional pieces of medical evidence, but also non-traditional, so lifestyle data as well, which is kind of our future as we go forward. And I think the last piece of it is how do we look at really synthesizing medical records and information, because that can be voluminous in general, right? And so there's a lot of opportunities where we can improve the underwriting experience by having more synthesized information for them. And by default, it really kind of shortening the cycle of assessment for an insurance policy.
And so today, are you leveraging DigitalOwl to kind of help out with some of these initiatives?
We are, and really it was all about the opportunity that we had to where we could collect attending physician statements from physicians, because we have a network of physicians' offices. We have well over probably 15,000 physician offices that we have across the country. And you think about it, an APS document could be anywhere from 50 pages, could be 200 pages, could be 500 pages. And so that's a lot for an insurance, for an underwriter to process. And so where DigitalOwl comes in a really nice way is leveraging a capability where from an AI perspective, we're able to actually synthesize that data really smoothly and effectively for the insurance carrier, call out really the critical kind of core morbidities, and really speed up the process. And we've seen some fantastic results up until this point since the POCs have launched.
Yeah. So as you're getting started rolling this out with some of the clients that you have, how do you feel like this has kind of improved your relationship with them?
Certainly with one of our largest carrier relationships, we've seen some dramatic improvements in terms of level of engagement. I will say this, that carrier in particular is a massive fan of that solution. And what we've seen through the data that we've been able to collect through that partnership or through that relationship that we have with the insurance carrier is that we've seen improvements of efficiency for underwriters when they did kind of an A and B test, the traditional way of kind of reviewing a document versus using a DigitalOwl solution. And we saw improvements upwards of 60% plus in terms of improvements of efficiency of time, given back to the underwriter by their ability to actually be able to look at a more synthesized document.
Yeah, it's been great to have the partnership and have your guys' expertise and insight in the Canadian market.
Absolutely.
And I think our last question would be, what advice would you have for any other companies that are considering working with DigitalOwl or another generative AI solution?
Make sure as a business that you've got a really firm understanding of where you want to go, but really understand that the insurance process is long to begin with. And so it's how do you as a company focus your efforts as we have around shortening that cycle in a really effective way, and finding a player or a partner like DigitalOwl enables you to really be effective in that area. And I will say, and I think that's been great about the DigitalOwl team and Yuval and team, you actually came to Dynacare, you kind of walked us through the solution, you helped us how to sell that solution as well to our existing insurance carrier partners. And that I think has added a lot of value in terms of us not only just understanding the product for what it is, but how we can actually articulate the proper value proposition to get them on board. And so I think that's a really key piece that I think we're excited about.
And I think for us too, in the same way that, we came and we got to see you guys for the day, our product improves from this ongoing feedback loop, right? So
Absolutely.
we respond and try to improve from what the learnings you have, and just continuously always getting better. So,
and I think that's been kind of the interesting kind of dynamic of the team at DigitalOwl, is that your willingness to just take feedback and to understand that there's always future iterations that you can make to the solution. And because we've got all the relationships with the carriers, we're uniquely positioned to provide that feedback, but work in partnership with you to provide a much more evolved product as we go along to solve some key pain points in the process.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.